Hi, I'm Claudia, and this is my book report on The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. So, what are three things that surprised me about this book? Number one was that Rubin said, competition serves the ego and cooperation serves the highest outcome. This was cool to read in a marketing class just because I didn't expect the books to be promoting anything other than purely competitive thinking, and it ended up being the opposite. The second surprising thing that Rubin said was a loyal audience can begin to feel like a prison to artists. I never thought that fans could halt an artist's process instead of encourage it, but you learn something new every day. Number three, Rubin's stances on genres was very interesting. So he states that genres come with a specific expectation, and there's a temptation to conform to its rules when you label. Esteemed filmmaker Lars von Trier once created 10 rules of filmmaking, and one of them was to banish genres just in general in order to reduce artificiality. Okay, so the industry that I chose to talk about when it comes to the impact of COVID was the telehealth industry, which is like online therapy. So the telehealth industry obviously boomed in COVID because people were in quarantine and just needed help mentally. And ever since COVID, it has continued to prosper more than it ever would have if it weren't for COVID. So above 40% of surveyed consumers claimed that they will continue using telehealth. Prior to the pandemic, only 11% of surveyed consumers made that claim. Another fact about the telehealth industry is that during COVID, governments around the world also had to relax regulations around telehealth and encourage user rates. So the US Medicare and Medicaid actually expanded telehealth coverage and included more services and providers than they normally would have. So, last point I have about this is that the telehealth industry has 3 times the level of venture capitalist investment in 2020 alone, so probably a lot more now compared to 2017, 3 times. Okay, how does the trends discussed in the Creative Act impact Netflix? So Rubin talks a lot about the importance of collaboration in art, and he has a lot of good advice about that can apply to Netflix's marketing strategy, specifically how to communicate with people in the film industry, social media influencers, the gaming industry, and fans. I mean, he didn't actually talk about that stuff, but I'm going to. So, throughout different chapters, Rubin stated the following points. Number 1, when one collaborator likes choice A and the other likes choice B, make a choice C. Number 2, you could have a distinct idea of what a piece means and how it functions through words. What you see and what they see may be completely different. Number 3, when the listener is totally present, the speaker often communicates differently. Bad listeners miss information that may alter or evolve your current thoughts. And finally, artists can describe goals with long-term and short-term methods. Patience is required for the nuanced development of craft. So, there's a lot of different ways that Netflix could take this advice on collaboration, and probably already has in a way. But yeah, the first idea is whether dealing with people in the film industry or social media influencers, marketing teams for Netflix should listen patiently and structure deadlines and expectations based on the needs of the artists and what they've communicated. So in other words, don't treat them like a company servant, but instead like a friend. For example, Netflix has a YouTube account called Still Watching Netflix, and a few of the playlists feature ongoing collaborations with popular YouTubers. So there's a segment where drag queens Trixie and Katya react to movie and TV shows, and In this segment, Netflix should ensure that they have creative control over editing and which moments of shooting they want to stream, and communicate with them directly which content they are interested in reviewing. The same rules should apply to the segment where YouTuber Bailey Sarian attempts to solve murders and mysteries while watching shows and movies like Wednesday Addams or Glass Onion. Another YouTube channel is Netflix is a Joke, which features comedy, and Netflix should be sure to ask the comedians and the comedy show creators which clips and sketches they want to be released and advertised, and which captions and titles they prefer. Netflix Explained is the name of another YouTube channel that Netflix has. They have a lot of YouTube channels that I'm not even mentioning. And Netflix Explained, the whole purpose of that is to analyze the endings of shows and movies. So I'm thinking that these videos need to be run by the actual script writers and directors and potentially created by them too. So if Netflix were to achieve Rubin's vision of nuanced craft development using active listening, they would establish strong relationships with talent and traditional film studios with the intention to promote what they desire. So Netflix would prioritize giving show and movie creators a sense of control over the way that their art is commercialized. So there are definitely a lot of different phases of creation in the film industry that involve collaboration, where it's important to prioritize the artist's vision. So, for example, development, pre-production, production, photography, wrap, post-production, and distribution. Within all of these phases, there are infinite choices to be made. For example, the process of script writing and casting, budgets, choices of production personnel. For all of this, empathetic listening towards the artist's vision is crucial. So when it comes to show and movie press, Netflix should promote the goals of the cast, the producers, the directors, the writers. For example, if Jenna Ortega from the hit show Wednesday were to promote her show, she shouldn't be given a hard script, and the activities should be ran by her and the creators of the show. Netflix should ask them which messages from the show they want to speak on, which issues concern them, and which ideas would promote their art most usefully. So, whether working with Netflix original studios or with film studios like Deluxe Spain Digital Studio or Steven Spielberg's studio Amblin, creators that are either part of Netflix or partnered with Netflix it should be clear to them that they are expressing their art in a way that is their own, and especially when it comes to distribution. So, for example, which clips the creators want released before and after the trailer, so they can control how the audience consumes and anticipates their work rather than Netflix controlling that. So another important industry to develop strong relationships with is the gaming industry. Right now, Netflix is partnered with Ubisoft, and they've released 3 mobile games in the past year. And more generally, Netflix is working on projects surrounding video game adaptations. So within these projects, Netflix should remember to collaborate with the storytellers and have the main goal in mind to be representation of their artistic vision and to keep that authentic and accurate. In the creative act, Rubin defines talent as the ability to let ideas manifest themselves through you. The marketing definition of talent is different. According to Google, it is using your social media channels and other outlets to identify people who seem like a good fit for your brand. So Netflix could interpret these 2 definitions and conclude that marketers should use social media and other outlets as a vessel to represent art. Okay, one of the ways that Netflix could do this is improving their TikTok content. The only content produced on TikTok and just on social media for Netflix should be content that creators and its consumers would approve of as art, or at least tasteful promotion of art. Right now, a lot of it on TikTok is rushed photo shoots of the Outer Banks cast or lazy short promos of shows. So I think Netflix would get more attention and more likely respect if they posted quality clips of their content as well as creative ways of promoting it. Another useful thing that Rubin wrote was that artists are playing to win. Wait, no. Opposite. Artists are not playing to win, but playing to play. He states, concern for deadlines, media attention, deals, sales, public image, staff, overhead, growing the audience, keeping the existing fan base, all of these voices enter the artist's head and inhibits them from producing true art. In order to guarantee the best quality content, Netflix marketing teams should keep this in mind when collaborating with artists and basically make them feel as important and entitled as a Kardashian or something like that. Netflix could also take Rubin's advice on active listening when it comes to collaborating with followers and fans on social media. For instance, asking them through polls which influencers they want to see representing Netflix, which shows they want a new season of, which movies they want behind-the-scenes footage of, which areas of gaming that they're interested in, and which content they would want to see on all of the different YouTube channels. Also, just in general, better promotion of the YouTube channels because they're pretty interesting. Another important aspect is listening to customer reports and acting to reduce those complaints. One of the last things that I found helpful from the book is if a highly anticipated work by another artist is released on the same day, your project may not land with the same impact. So this got me thinking how Netflix should pay attention to specific fan bases and feed them content in a smart, scheduled way. So give them the time that they need to eat it up and then feed them again when they're hungry. So yeah, overall, that is my consensus.